stop calling yourself lazy. If you have a hard time building habits, it's rarely about the amount of effort or willpower or discipline that you're putting in. It's all about the approach that you're taking. In this video, we're gonna go over 4 things that people do wrong when they try to build habits and how you can fix them so you can actually build long-lasting habits that are useful and will propel you in the direction that you wanna go in life. The number one thing that you really need to focus on is, why are you doing this habit in the first place? A lot of people try to do habits or set goals and stuff like that for goals that aren't even actually that important to them at all. They try and do stuff that maybe other people have told them to do, or they try and do stuff that maybe would be good for them, but the reasoning for it is really bad. You really 100% need to know why you are doing something more than anything else. Let's give a couple of examples so you can understand what I mean. So for me personally, when it came to things like eating healthy, exercising, all of this stuff, I loved it. I thought it was awesome and I really wanted to do it, but every time I tried, I failed because my reasons were silly. I tried to eat healthy and exercise to lose weight, but the thing is, I didn't care about my weight. I was okay with being a little big back, didn't really bother me. When I tried to do it for other stuff as well, like, I had to reduce my risk of heart disease and stuff like that, that again didn't motivate me that much because I didn't really care. I didn't feel the effects of it in my day-to-day life, and it was just tiring and it just made me annoyed. And every time I wanted to reach for something like an unhealthy snack, eat something really nice, it took almost no effort for me to start breaking the habit because my reason was just really dumb. But then I switched the reason. Instead of focusing on health-related stuff, I started focusing on energy levels and focus. And for me, I always wanted to have more focus, more energy, stuff like that. And I read a lot about how you can have a diet that is, attuned to help you have more focus and energy. And that became way easier for me to do. It was like a night and day difference in how easy it was for me to follow the habit, because the reason that I had was personal to me. I have a hard time focusing and I have really low levels of energy throughout the day, and it was affecting my ability to do the things that I wanted to do. So when I switched my reason to be more focus, more motivation, and I tailored my diet to that and started seeing results, it was way more motivating. And every time I was like, I want to have a junk food, I want to have a little snack or something like that, I would just remember, do I want to be unfocused? Do I want to have low energy? No. And that would help keep me on track way more. Another really bad habit that I had that was really difficult for me to break was things like, stopping smoking. So I really used to enjoy smoking a lot. I used to think it was extremely beneficial and effective for me. And the thing is, health reasons did not bother me, because every time I went to the doctor and people were like, oh, you should quit for your health, you should quit for your health, I never had any health issues really. When I went to the doctor, everything was really fine. It was good. So I was like, why should I quit? I'm not really feeling it in the moment. But when I started to focus on the other things, like it was making it hard for me to exercise. And I really love exercising. I love running. It was getting in the way of that. It was getting in the way of me being able to interact with people because, I had a concept to step outside for smoke breaks. And I didn't like that. When it was getting in the way of, me causing harm to other people's health because of secondhand smoke, that was a compelling reason for me to actually stop. So focus on the reasons that are important to you, not to other people. Find what motivates you to want to do this thing. Ask yourself, why do I want to build this habit? Why do I want to do this thing? That'll be way more helpful than just kind of trying to do things for reasons other people have told you. Now let's move into number 2. This is one of the most pervasive things that I see, is people focus way too much on the end result rather than the process of getting to a goal. So what you want to keep in mind is, when you're trying to focus on a goal, forget about the end result. The end result does not matter at all when it comes to achieving the end result. Now that might sound confusing, but just stick with me here, okay? If you have like a goal in mind, let's say you're trying to build like a dream body or a dream physique or something like that, the actual dream body and goal does not matter. What matters is, what are you doing every day to get there? The end result is something everyone wants. Everyone wants to be shredded, everyone wants to be ripped, everyone wants to be a millionaire, but you have to ask yourself, are you willing to do the things that you have to do to get there? And if the answer is no, that's not a good goal for you. That's not a good habit for you. All your habits and goals should be based on stuff that you want to be doing in your day-to-day life. Getting in shape doesn't matter if you don't like going to the gym every single day. Becoming a millionaire and entrepreneur doesn't matter if you don't like doing business stuff every single day. Now, this is not to say don't do stuff just because it's hard. The thing is, find the hard things you enjoy doing. Like for me, I love making YouTube videos. I love making music. I love doing psychology. I love programming. But the thing is, I hate social interaction. I'm a CS major. I don't want to pick a field where I'm gonna have to interact with people a lot. Like marketing or sales, sure, it's difficult, it's hard, and it's something that I'm not willing to do. Versus like CS is also difficult, it's also hard. Making YouTube videos is also hard. But the thing is, I like doing those things and the struggles are worth it for me. Same thing with eating healthy and exercising. I try and eat a vegan, unprocessed, diet, which is super hard to do, super restrictive, super limiting. And that's not what I'd recommend most people do. But for me, it works so well and it's so enjoyable and I feel so good every day. It's worth it for me. Pick the hard stuff that you want to do that's worth it to you personally. Now, number 3, the other big thing that people will do all the time is they'll start off way too intense. When it comes to building building habits, you don't want to go all in immediately kind of right out the gate, right? A lot of people, New Year's Eve is a great example of this. New Year's resolutions always fail. Thing is, when you start doing New Year's resolutions, what a lot of people tend to do is just go all in, start going to the gym every single day, eating super clean, eating super healthy, doing all this stuff, and then they burn out and they stop doing it. When you're building habits, you want to do it slow and steady over time. If you actually look at some of the most addictive habits in the world, like drug addiction, alcoholism, all of these things, even things like smoking cigarettes, a lot of people who start using drugs don't just all out start using as much of the drug as they possibly can. Some people do, but it's really rare. Most of the time, drug addiction actually works like this. People slowly do it here and there, and they'll slowly ramp up use, and then after a while, before they even know it, they'll be doing it every single day. And that's actually like kind of one of the best ways to start a lot of habits, is you don't want to do them all at once. If you can kind of take that way of building habits for unhealthy things, you can actually apply the same thing to healthy stuff too. When it came to me like eating a vegan unprocessed diet, I actually started off just eating 3 fruits a day. That's how bad my diet was. 3 fruits was a lot for me. I started doing that, and after a couple months, I naturally just like felt a little bit better, and I realized I didn't really like processed food, so I started having a smoothie every day too. Then after that, I started cutting down a little bit on dairy. Then I started eating salads every single day, and then slowly but surely I fully moved over into that unprocessed vegan diet. But that took about a year to actually happen. I let myself do it slowly, steadily, and increased it when I felt like I was ready and when it felt within my capacity. If you do it slow and steady, that's where a lot of the gain and benefit comes from. A little bit of progress over a long period of time is great, sustainable, and is way more effective than when it comes to a lot of progress for a short period of time. It's kind of the tortoise and the hare kind of thing, right? Like you can either make a little bit of progress each day, and in the end you'll end up going a lot farther because you won't burn yourself out, versus if you're like the hare and you just try and make a ton of progress really quickly in a short amount of time, you might make a lot of progress initially, but after a while, you end up losing a lot. This is kind of like the running a marathon thing, right? If you ever try to run a marathon and you just sprint the entire way, you will fail by mile 3 or 4 or 5, But the person who takes it slow, steady, will make it all 26.2 miles and end up running more than the person who sprinted the entire way. Number 4, the biggest thing you want to keep in mind is your environment has to be good. If you have a terrible environment, then it's going to be really hard for you to actually achieve and sustain your habits. So what do I mean by terrible environment, right? If your environment is set up in such a way where like you're constantly surrounded by temptations and triggers, it's gonna be really hard for you to stick to your healthy habits, right? If you're trying to cut out junk food and you're surrounded by junk food all the time in your house, how are you gonna cut it out? Or let's say you're in a situation where you live with other people and they're not following the same habits as you, but so they wanna have junk food, but you don't. You need to make sure that you keep it out of sight at least, And what you wanna do is you wanna make it as easy as possible to follow healthy habits and as hard as possible to follow unhealthy habits. I'll give you a couple of examples, right? So I had a problem where I was on my phone way too much all the time, right? And it was especially in the morning. So what I started to do was I lived on the 2nd floor of my house and we had a 1st floor and a basement. I put my phone in the basement every single night and I'd go back upstairs and go to sleep. And what this did was every time I woke up, I would want to go for my phone. I'd want to go get it. But the thing is, it's all the way downstairs. So I would just kind of stay up on the 2nd floor. I wouldn't look at my phone most of the day and I kind of forget about it. And then by like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m., that's when I'd actually go downstairs and check it. So this system worked really well for me because it made it hard for me to actually go on my phone in the morning. And then this enabled me to do other stuff. Like what I would do is I'd keep a book by my bedside. So if I did, want to do something in the morning that's a little bit more light casual while I was drinking coffee or something, I had the book right there. It was easy for me to quickly pick up and grab instead of my phone. Try and control your environment and make it as easy as possible. This can also look like simple things, right? So I wanted to start taking a couple of supplements. So what I did with these supplements is every night before bed, I would just put them out on the counter, or I'd keep them in like a permanent spot where I'd run into them every single morning, right? So if you wake up every morning and you already have an existing habit, like maybe making coffee or maybe going and getting water in the morning, right next to your cup of water or wherever you get your coffee or whatever, put like, a supplement next to it, or put like a book next to it or something like that. So you can pick it up and maybe, read it while you drink your coffee. You want to pair new habits with habits that you already have. And this can kind of help you ease that transition into actually making the habit. Make it easy for you. Make your environment set up in such a way where it's super easy for you to do these habits. So I hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching. If we want to really quick do a summary of this whole video, number 1, make sure that the habits that you're doing are actually habits you want to do and are in line with the goals and values that you have. Don't just do stuff because other people are doing stuff that's stupid and it's going to waste your time and energy. Number 2, the biggest thing that you do is you focus on the end result rather than the actual process. Again, kind of tying into the first tip, you want to make sure that you're not just focused on what the end goal is going to be, but the process to getting there, right? The idea should not be to have an enjoyable end goal. The end goal of a lot of good habits is enjoyable to anyone. Having a 6-pack is super cool. Eating healthy and living longer is super cool. All of these things are awesome. But the thing is, if you don't enjoy the process of getting there, there's no point. You have to enjoy the process. It is not the end result. It is not the goals that matter. Don't ask yourself, do I want this or do I want that? Ask yourself, do I want to do the stuff I'm going to have to do every day to get there? People who are ripped, they love going to the gym, man. They love going to the gym. That's why they're ripped. People who eat super healthy love eating the diet that they're eating. You want to focus on making the process as enjoyable as possible and make sure that you're really focusing on what things in my life do I want to change and what things do I want to be doing every single day. What problems do I want to have? That can be a good question to ask yourself. Number 3, starting off way too hard, doing way too much, and not really, keeping in mind your limitations and stuff like that. Make sure that you go slow and steady when you build up habits, because if you go all in, all out right off the gate, you're going to burn out really quickly. Remember, you're trying to run a marathon, not a sprint. And number 4, your environment sucks. Make sure you're making your environment as conducive as possible to your habits. Make it easy to do good habits, make it hard to do bad habits. I hope this video helps. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.